On the East Coast, and we have a special guest waiting in the green room. And we're recording and we're streaming, and we are going to start a countdown to Studio 10. Starting, well, now. 5, 4, 3. Well, good evening. Welcome to PJNet.TV. I'm your host, Coach Prasick, and tonight, boy, do I have a great night. I've got it so easy. You know, talented, brilliant, smart, attractive people, women, it's just all I got to do is sit here. Now, behind me, you will see a picture that's behind the lights a little bit, but I think you get the idea. And the progenitor of that joins us on the first Wednesday of every month, Stephanie Pavlantos. And Stephanie, where up north are you that you are wearing a sweater?
I am near Cleveland, Northeast Ohio. So it's only 45 up here today.
It's 80 down here.
I know. I saw that on the news. It's not fair.
In fact,
really.
We had the air conditioning people come by the house today to fix the air. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was actually one day last week. I think it made it to 80, and then it just went downhill from there. So today, today 45. So I had a sweatshirt on most of the day. So I actually changed into a nicer sweater for you.
Well, that is so thoughtful of you. And what I'm going to do, I've got a little work to do here because, you know, we work very hard at making this a high quality production.
Mm-hmm. I'm just seeing a 0.
Yeah, and but you kind of moved.
Oh, I did. Sorry.
I don't know. Maybe the camera did. I don't know these things. But
there we go.
Stephanie.
I see you.
Okay, everything's good. The betrothed. How do you pronounce it? How do you pronounce
Betrothal.
it in Hebrew? How do you pronounce it in Hebrew?
It's the let me think again. So you caught me off guard. It's the katba, something like that. It looks like tuba, but it's Ketuba. Katba.
And it's a deep topic, but this is your contribution to vinewords.net. Now, you're kind of on the inside of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you have any news? Kinda. Anything coming up?
We are starting to talk about a second book, Second Love Knots. Mm-hmm. So we're starting to put things together.
That's the only announcement you got, and you're sticking to it.
I'm sticking to it. We've got a new contributor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who did?
Am I allowed to say?
Well, he announced it last night. So
he did. I didn't get to watch his because I had a class last night.
Well, we went for an hour.
Yes,
it's somewhere in there.
Ben, I'm excited. So.
Well,
Ben
you are
great.
Also going to be well informed. He is one of the. If he ever got a game show and you're a contestant, just surrender, forfeit. You have no chance.
I know.
No chance whatsoever of succeeding. But having a bunch of knowledge, that's good. Knowledge is good, but it's not enough. It's not the same as wisdom. And Ben has both, and he presents it.
Wise.
Yeah, and he will be an asset to the VineWords team. And you all have got quite a powerful team. I am so glad. I got a chance to talk to Diane the other day. In fact, not
I was
long
talking
after,
to her when you called.
I was going to say, she said she had just talked to you.
I was on the phone, and she's like, "Hi, Mark. Can I call you right back? I'm in the middle of something." And I'm like, "Yeah, tell him I said hi."
You got that. But, there's a lot goes on. I don't know if everybody knows. Behind the scenes, there's many responsibilities now, especially when you're in the same business I am. You're herding cats. They're all, you can't push them around too much, and each one has their own unique gifts and talents, but each one is very different, and it's hard to find one uniform way. Here's how we how we do things. But it's a real challenge. But you and Diane handled that very gracefully. But tell us about or whatever you want to talk about. But I thought I would tee up your article for
Great.
vinewords.net. I didn't get a chance to read it yet, so tell me enough to
Okay.
make me want to know more.
Well, this time, actually, we shared this one. This one was on my site today, but I had written it for VineWords, and then I decided to share it from my site today. But um, so the betrothal is what we always hear about at Christmas time when we talk about. I almost said Mary and Ted. Oh my gosh, those are my in-laws. Mary and Joseph. Mary and Ted.
Yeah.
Um,
I think his close friends called him Ted. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure. It's in there. It's in Geronimo 20 something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something in there. He was Ted. But anyway, Mary and Joseph were at the time that she became pregnant with, of course, Jesus. They were betrothed, and that is basically a contract that comes together between the bridegroom and the bride and the families. And there are seven witnesses and the whole thing. You lay out this whole contract that has to be signed. Actually, there are two witnesses and then the family. So that's basically. But it's interesting because the betrothal at the time of Jesus, the way it happened, the very, very first step was a parent. Maybe the families kind of started talking about, hey, your son and my daughter, that would be good. And so they kind of go from there. So the son and the daughter both have an idea of what's being planned for them, and but they have to agree to it. But the step after that is the bridegroom comes with his father to the bride's house, or to the woman's house that he wants to marry. And when they do that, he knocks on the door. And when he knocks, she has the choice to open the door or not. If she opens the door, then they come in and they have a dinner. And over that dinner, they go through different glasses of wine and such, but they basically hammer out this contract. But what's interesting is if she gets cold feet or she decides, no, I'm not real sure that that's the guy I want, then she just doesn't answer the door and he and his father leave.
Hmm.
But if you go to Revelation 3:20, Jesus makes a statement that says, behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and invites me in, I will come in and sup with him.
Wow.
And that is where that verse comes as the beginning of that betrothal process. So this is part of a covenant, and covenant is what we enter into. Of course, we hear a lot about covenant within the Old Testament and everything. And of course, the messianic covenant that Jesus made through his blood. And that's what we enter into when we enter into marriage. It's a covenant. And God takes that covenant extremely serious, because it what we do as man, husband and wife, I guess, is what he planned it to be. And all of salvation looks like the marriage covenant, like the whole plan. So in Ephesians, we can see that, he chose us before the beginning of time. But as his bride, we have to come to agree and go into the same terms. So there's a bride price. That's really interesting. The bride price was, at the time of Jesus, it was 30 pieces of silver.
This is like the Twilight Zone, Stephanie. I
Yep.
mean,
I know. But there's no accidents. All of this was planned. All of this works the way it was supposed to work, to show us the plan of salvation, and show us also marriage and a covenant and what that means. And it's just so interesting. And even purification they went through. They bathed, of course, separately before their marriage, before their wedding ceremony. They bathed and became clean outwardly, and they put on these white robes. And everyone who came to the wedding, and I'm kind of skipping around here, but everyone who came to the wedding also wore white robes. And they would bring palm branches with them. And they would lay down the palm branches because for the day, the bride and groom were the king and queen. So they would lay the palm branches down for them to walk on. And of course,
Wow.
we see that with the life of Jesus.
It's Twilight Zone.
But we also see it in Revelation. And when we look at, I think it's Revelation, I've got my Bible right here. In the 6th, it says, when I opened the 5th seal, I saw under the altar the souls of those who had been slain for the word of God and for the witness they had borne. They cried out with a loud voice, O sovereign Lord, holy and true, how long before you judge and avenge the blood on those who dwelt? They were each given a white robe and told to rest a little longer until the number of their fellow servants and their brothers should be complete. And so we see them in their white robes because they're preparing for a wedding.
Several things came to mind. First of all, we have to remember arranged marriages in our culture today. Well, those just don't happen.
Right.
But that was a custom in the day.
It was.
Okay. The other thing is, do not use synonymously betrothal and engagement as we know it today.
Right. Because that's a very good point. Because so they went through these 4 cups. Okay. So the first cup was the cup like of servanthood. Okay. So it was a cup where the families drank. This is during the betrothal, that night of that supper. They drank the first cup to vow that they would be servants of each other. Oops, I froze.
You're okay. You're okay on this end.
Okay, so it's just mine. But they would be servants to each other. So both families would serve the other family. The husband, the bridegroom would serve his wife, and the wife would serve her husband, okay? Then the next cup, they would do some more hammering out. And so each time they drank the cup, that was pretty much saying that we've established this much. We've established this much we agree on. So the next cup would kind of be the cup of friendship. And it would just be drunk between the fathers and the bridegroom and the bride. So it would just be the 4 of them. And they would say, we are going to be friends. And it was kind of like a covenant of salt. Because they still have a covenant of salt even to this day in the Middle East. And it says it's kind of like there's salt between us. And that means that we are in a friendship relationship. And we are going to we will honor each other and be loyal to each other. And so that's what the fathers are doing. They're proclaiming this loyalty to each other in a family perspective. And then the third cup they'll drink is the inheritance cup. And that means at that point that if either one of them were to die, the other would get their inheritance. And at that point in the betrothal, they are married. It means that if one dies, then they're married. Or if something happened, like what we see in the story of Mary and Joseph, they would have to be divorced. So they are married at this point in this third cup. The fourth cup, which what we see, what Jesus did, they don't drink until the wedding ceremony. And that's what we see in the Passover when Jesus said that he would not drink this cup with them until he saw them again in heaven. And that's the fourth cup that the bride and groom drink as well during their ceremony after he comes and gets her. And then they kind of hammer out the whole, like, the bride price and the stipulations, how he's going to take care of her, what he's going to do to take care of her, how he's going to earn a wage, and then also where they're going to live. And so at this point, they don't see each other again because he goes away to prepare a place for her. And he leaves to prepare that place. And the real clincher is that the place is not prepared until the Father says it's ready. So when the Father says, you've got a good place here, because the place must be better than where she grew up. So the place the groom prepares for her has to be better than where she lived. And so when it was better, the Father said, now you may go get your bride.
So many differences, contrasts. Notice I was really dialed in when you said on that third cup, they are actually at that point married.
Right.
All right.
And that was just like Mary and Joseph. So
okay. Well, notice that the state is nowhere, none of that stuff you talked about involving government. None of it. Had nothing
just the rabbis. Because then at that point they would call in a rabbi.
Well, but at that point, when the fourth cup during the ceremony, they are simply recording the existence of the marriage. They are not, quote, marrying the couple. They were married when they arrived.
Right.
Okay.
It's just
now,
the formality.
We think that you get married at a ceremony and the state issues a marriage you can tell I've got a axe to grind here. I don't think we need the permission of any government to get married. By the way, what was the average age of marriage back in those days, Stephanie?
Well, for the women, it was definitely under 18. But the man could be, actually, and I'm going to mess with people's theologies here, but I like to do that. There's actually some writings, old writings, that actually say that the reason that we don't see Joseph anymore is that he died, but because he was much older than Mary, and he actually there. Now again, I know I'm messing with people's traditions, but there are those sayings that he had had children, and that Jesus was not the oldest child, but the youngest. And again, that's not to, be what is it? A heresy, heretical. What is that word?
Heretic is the word.
Yeah. Can't think of the word.
Well, you know the word in Hebrew. It's the English that gives you trouble. I mean, that's
the English gives me a fit. But,
okay. Oh, it's 18 after. You are working on something, aren't you?
I am. Yes. Now I have alluded to this, like you said. I've talked about this, but this morning in prayer, the Lord gave me a title for a new Bible study, which I'm kind of excited about. Now it is, which some people have already been reading my blog, so they saw parts of it and on the Beatitudes. But I still was not really quite sure that that's what he wanted me to write on. I hadn't really gotten a confirmation. And this morning was a confirmation because he gave me a title. And the title is Happiness is Holiness. Because when you look at the Beatitudes, I think I've shared this on this program, but blessed is or blessed are actually means happiness is, or it could mean happy are. And then when you look at the Beatitudes, the way Jesus meant them and the way they are, what they mean in the Hebrew, it has a lot to do with our holiness. It's being Christ-like. And that's what stood out to me. And so suddenly, as I actually in my class last night that I taught, we were talking a lot about holiness and how, it's really just not something that's politically correct, really.
It's not celebrated in this culture whatsoever.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not.
To be holy is to be boring. To be holy is to be, can't have any fun. God's a cosmic killjoy. He wants to send everybody to hell. He's mad at you all the time.
Well, and it's really to, and I mean, it's about not being without sin, but it's getting back to a type of innocence that God, that Jesus wants us to have, but also to be like Jesus is to be holy.
Mhm.
It's to go back to that childlike way of being clean inside and out, and watching, the old song, like, oh, be careful little eyes what you see, oh, be careful little ears what you hear. That's what it's about. It's putting yourself in situations where you're not listening to profanity. That profanity isn't rolling off your tongue. It's watching what you're watching. It's taking care. It's of what you're putting in your body, in your eyes, in your head, in your mind, in your heart. I mean, it's. I mean, there's people who could explain it better, but it's being like Christ when you come down to it, and
I want
that's not popular.
maybe if you would do some research on ritually clean. You had to be
Right,
cleansed for certain rituals, and you were
right,
ceremoniously unclean under certain circumstances.
exactly.
So cleanliness, holiness, godliness, all that is wrapped up together. And God
Hmm.
knows that we are living in our
Hmm.
Adamic identity.
Hmm.
But he is constantly pursuing ways to restore that fellowship, and he
Hmm.
relentlessly pursues a relationship with us and makes
Exactly.
provisions. But we have to take the step. Okay, he
Right.
can't do it for us anyway. Gosh, we're out of time. Stephanie, congratulations. Happiness is holiness.
Holiness.
Well, that
Hmm.
is wonderful. I like that because that is a slap in the face to the pagan world that really looks down on holiness as
Mm.
a substandard lifestyle, a primitive
Yes.
lifestyle, a lifestyle
Right.
without happiness. Boy,
Hmm.
shoot them. Knock them out, Stephanie. I'm so proud of you. All
Thank
right.
you.
You're the best. Well, Stephanie, you have enriched us immensely, and I appreciate you sharing so generously month after month after month. And we'll do this again, and I'm sure you'll have
Yep.
something new.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you.
There you go. Folks, that is the Eagle's Nest. You see it right there, the broadcast facilities here at pjnet.tv. And as good as that was, it's only going to continue. It's not over. We're going to take a little break right now. We're in Studio 10. I've got to go to Studio 20, so that's 5 doors down on the right. Right? 10, 12, 14. Got it? 5 doors. Okay, before I leave, challenge. 2 questions. First, what is the boldest thing you have ever done for Jesus Christ? Second question, when was that? Oh, please, let's not be satisfied with either answer.